Hey, it's Liz from No Trace. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a super cute, scrappy pencil pouch. These pouches sew up really fast, and they're also a really great way to use up some of your really small scraps, as small as 2.5 inches tall and 8 by 8 inches wide. So let's go. In order to make your zipper pouch, you're going to need some scraps of fabric. And what I like to use is 2 pieces that'll make up the front panel that are each 2.5 inches tall and 8.5 inches wide. So these 2 are going to get pieced together. So I have so I have 4 pieces total that are going to make up my 2 outer panels. Then I have 2 pieces of fabric that are 4 inches tall and 8.5 inches wide. These are going to be my inner layer. And then I also have 2 pieces of cotton, organic cotton batting that also measures 4 inches tall, 8.5 inches wide, and a 7-inch zipper. I like to use 100% cotton zippers, which you can get from YKK. And if you don't have a 7-inch zipper, you'll want to shorten a longer zipper to about 8.5 inches from end to end. So from here to here, it's about 8.5 inches. The zipper is 7, but if you're going to be shortening a different zipper, you want the full length to be long enough to get caught in all of your seams. So the full length of this is actually about 8.5 inches. You can also use a little scrap of fabric to make a 3-inch mini strap or loop, or you could use a little bit of ribbon, and I'm going to use this to go on the side of my pouch. And then you'll also need some clips to clip everything together when we take it over to the machine. In the first step, I'm going to assemble my 2 outer pieces of fabric by stitching both of these 2.5-inch tall pieces together using a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So I'm going to put them with the right sides together, and I'm just going to stitch with a 1/2 inch seam allowance right down here. And if you're using a print that has a top side and a bottom side, some kind of directional print, you'll want to put the bottom edge of the top piece on the top edge of your bottom piece so that when you open it up, the direction looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch these together. So I'm just going to do a 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way down, and I'm going to do a little back stitch at the start and stop. So once both of these panels are stitched together with a 1/2 inch seam allowance, we're going to go ahead and press them open at the iron. Now, if one of your layers is a little bit lighter than the other and you're worried that the fabric might show through this one of your pieces of fabric, you're going to want to press the seam so that it points down and doesn't show through the lighter fabric. So just go ahead and press both of your panels so that they lay nice and flat. Once they're ironed, we're ready to clip the panels onto our zipper. So you want to place the right side or the top side of your zipper down so that it's facing the right side of your outer panel, and you want to line it up with that top edge, and then go ahead and clip it together with, I just use a few clips, that should be good. Okay, and now we're going to add in one of the liner pieces of fabric into the clips. So the zipper is in the middle. Now if your liner fabric has a right side, you want the right side of the liner fabric facing the right side of your outer panels. Go ahead and clip that in. Now the cotton batting we're going to add to the back of our outer panel. You could add it to the liner, but your pouch will be a little bit less bunchy if you add it to the back of your outer layer of fabric. So let's go ahead and get this into the clips, just like that. And then we are ready. Whoops. Okay, now we're ready to sew. So back at the machine, I'm going to change out my presser foot. So lift it up and then pop it off. And I'm going to grab my zipper foot so I can sew real close to the zipper. Now if your presser foot is narrow, maybe you don't need to do this, but for this machine I have to switch to the zipper foot. And now I'm going to be stitching right along this edge with about a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I get this right under the presser foot. I'm going to go forward a few and then back a few. And then just straight down. Now I'm getting near the zipper pull, which is too bulky to stitch near. So what you want to do is keep your needle down, lift your presser foot, and then you're going to push the zipper pull back to the other side so that we can keep stitching straight down. And then lower the presser foot and then just finish this line. And a little back stitch. So once you finish that row of stitching, double check that you caught all your layers. Oops, let's get rid of that. Double check that you caught all the layers in your seam so that everything is connected nicely. And in this case, I did, so that's good. And now we're going to go ahead and attach the other pieces to the other side of the zipper and sew them onto this side of the zipper tape. So again, we're just going to put the right side of the outer panel onto the top of the zipper and line it up at the edges and line it up with the side of the other half of your bag. So these sides are also aligned, and go ahead and add a few clips. I always use metal binder clips because I try to avoid buying plastic things when I can. Plastic is really hard to recycle, and metal is usually a lot easier to recycle. Okay, so that piece is attached. Now we flip it over, we put our liner piece also into those clips, just like that. 1, 2, 3. And now I'm going to flip it over one more time, and I'm going to add the batting to the back of the outer layer and get it inside those clips as well. This is a really great way to use up scrap pieces of batting. If you have any smaller strips, this is a great project for those. Okay, so these are attached. Now we're going to take it to the machine and just stitch like we did on the other side. And again, as you get near the zipper pull, you want to have your needle down, lift your presser foot, and then just pull or push the zipper all the way to the back of the bag so that we can stitch smoothly along this last stretch. Whoops, presser foot down. And a little back stitch. So again, you want to check that you caught all 4 layers in that last seam. Then you're going to go ahead and open up your pouch and take it to the iron, and you want to press the fabric away from the zipper teeth on the top and on the bottom. So just do your best at the iron to really flatten that out and make sure they're not going to be caught by the zipper teeth. Once you've ironed it, go ahead and do a top stitch on both sides of the pouch. So we still have the zipper presser foot on the machine, and we're going to stitch right along that seam. And I'm not doing a back stitch at the beginning because I'm going to catch this line of stitches in the final seam that we do all the way around the bag. So just go straight down, take your time, and try to sew nice and straight. And after that row of stitches, we'll go ahead and sew the other side, same way. So once both rows of top stitching are in place, double check your work, double check your zipper. And now we're ready to sew up the sides of the bag. So we're gonna put the outer layer pieces together. Actually, first open the zipper a bit, and then we want the outer layer pieces together and the inner layer pieces together. So now the bag should look like this. And what we're gonna do is clip the bag all around the sides. And I always like to start at the zipper. So I wanna line up the seams with each other neatly, and I want that zipper tape to be pointing down into the liner fabric. So line up those seams, make sure the zipper's laying nice and flat, and then go ahead and place a clip right on the zipper. And then flip your bag over and do the same thing on the other side. So line up the seams, make sure the zipper tape is pointing down towards the liner, because if it's pointing the other way, it'll pop out of your bag and it'll be visible. So you want that pointed down. Make sure the zipper is still laying nice and flat, and then put a clip. Once you get the clips on alongside the each end of the zipper, now we're going to take a little piece of ribbon, or this is just scrap fabric, and we are going to fold it in half, and we want to put it inside our bag in between the outer layers of fabric. And we want to put it on the side where the zipper, at the back end of the zipper, so not where the zipper opens, but on the opposite side. Okay, so we're going to place it here in between the outer layers of fabric, very close to the zipper. And I like to have it stick out about 1/4 inch or so that I know that I'm going to catch it in my seam. And make sure the sides are lined up, and go ahead and clip that in place. Then I'm also going to put a little no trace tag right under that loop, also facing in, and then I'm going to add that to the clip. Okay, and next we'll just line up these sides with each other and get a clip over on this side. And the batting is a little bit shifty, so you can just make sure that it's reaching all the way over to the edge. Line up those seams, add a clip. I'm going to put one clip here at the bottom, and then I'm going to put one clip at this bottom right here. And then when I go to stitch, I'm going to stitch all the way around these raw edges, but I'm going to leave an opening of about 3 or 4 inches right here in the liner fabric. I'm going to take the zipper foot off and put my standard presser foot back on my machine. And just clip it into place there. And then I'm going to start at the liner fabric, remembering to leave a gap of about 3 inches here. So I'm going to start on this side, and I'm going to stitch all the way around with about a 1/2 inch seam allowance. All right, so make sure to do a back stitch at the beginning. And then we'll just go towards this corner, and then with the needle down, lift the presser foot and turn the bag, and then we're going to come straight down this side. Now as I get near the zipper, obviously I want to take that clip out of the way. And I want to be mindful, I like to use metal zippers because I try to avoid plastic, but that means I have to be a little more careful when I'm sewing to make sure I don't hit that metal. So just take your time, go slow. And then just keep going all the way around. So now I'm getting close to where I put the little ribbon of fabric and my tag inside. So I'm going to move my clip carefully, making sure not to shift around the little ribbon. And I want to reinforce that ribbon, so I'm going to actually sew over it and then go back and sew over it again. And that way the ribbon won't pull out of the bag if you tug on it. Okay, and then again, I'm getting right along the zipper, so I want to sort of feel for that metal and take my time. And when I get back near the opening that I want to leave, I'm going to go do a back stitch and then forward a bit so that that opening is reinforced, and we're done with that stage. So we're almost done with the entire pencil pouch. I want to check that I caught all my layers, especially up near the zipper, and it looks good. So now we're going to turn the whole pouch right side out, and you might want to reach your hand in and open up the zipper a little bit more, or all the way, I should say. Open that zipper all the way, and then it's a little easier to turn your pouch right side out. And this is one of my favorite parts, is seeing the bag, seeing how it turned out. And I'm going to grab a chopstick to really press those corners out. So I'm going to make sure that they are out as far as they can. Now, if you wanted to trim any of the batting, you could do that and you'd get an even crisper corner, a pointier corner. But I just left that in there. It gives the bag a little more reinforcement, and then I don't have the scraps to deal with. So there's no scraps as a result, which is great. Okay, so we've got the bag, at least the outer part is turned all the way out. We get the inner part turned all the way out. And we want to push these corners out, even though we're going to be sticking this back inside the bag. It's good to push the corners out so that we can get a nice straight seam and close up this opening. So I'm going to actually go in there with the chopstick just a little bit. Now you could take this to the iron and press that opening closed, or if it's pretty well lined up, you could just finger press it. And in this case, it's pretty well lined up, so I'm just going to finger press it, and then I'm going to stitch it closed with about a 1/8 inch seam allowance. Okay, so I'm not going to pin it or anything. I'm just going to get it right under my presser foot, just past where the opening starts, and do a little back stitch. And then just sew straight down. And then back stitch again. Just like that. Once it's stitched closed, just trim the loose threads and push the liner into the bag, and your pencil pouch is done. You could double check for other loose threads and make sure all those corners are pushed out nicely. But it's done. Yay! Thanks so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the No Trace channel to get notified about all of our videos. We put out a new video every week on zero waste sewing, crafting, and zero waste living tips. And there's a link below in the description to join our Zero Waste Sewing and Crafting Facebook group, which is a free group where we share our projects and zero waste resources. So click the link in the description box. I'd love to see you over there. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you again very soon.